What's happening, Who Dat Nation? Hope y'all are having a wonderful day. Got a pretty fun show for you lined up. We're going to be discussing 2 trade targets for this offseason. Going to give you a little bit of a hint. Both of them are first round picks. Both of them were top 10 overall picks in recent drafts, and both of them can make a big impact on the offense. And if you're with me and you think that the New Orleans Saints need to make some changes this offseason, hit the thumbs up icon and like this video. And if you don't think they need to make changes for some crazy reason, you see it right here. If you hate the Falcons, we can at least all like the video for that. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I am your host, Trizzy Trace Gerard. Thank you so much for tuning in to the program. No matter where you are or how you're watching, we always appreciate Saints fans for making us a part of their day. Let's talk about the offense because in my personal opinion, the New Orleans Saints do not have a clear future at quarterback. Derek Carr, he's not going to be around forever. He's climbing the age ladder, if you will, and I'm a Spencer Rattler fan, and I'll say it, he's been pretty underwhelming, all things considered. You have a lot of injuries, you have a lot of issues, all sorts of problems. But in my personal opinion, I think the Saints need a clear-cut QB1 as soon as possible. And who could that be? Why don't we go see our friends up north in the Minnesota Vikings and see if J.J. McCarthy could be on the trade block. He was the number 10 overall selection in the 2024 draft just a little under a year ago. So he's still very fresh. He's got fresh legs. He's got the ability to make an impact. He's been dealing with an injury that he suffered in the preseason, and that kind of sidelined him for the year. It kind of slowed things down, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't been working on getting ready and ramped up for the National Football League. He's actually been doing a lot of stuff with like VR goggles, trying to see what's happening on the field. It's pretty crazy, like all the technology that he's been using to still be, well-versed in the National Football League and the type of football that's played at that level. But in my opinion, Sam Darnold, there's no question about it. He has been absolutely phenomenal this season, which is why the Vikings next week will be competing for the number 1 overall seed. So in my personal opinion, I think the Vikings would rather opt to go with Sam Darnold, the guy who's already gotten them so many wins, the guy who's already achieved so much as the Minnesota Vikings quarterback, rather than resetting everything and just being like, all right, let's do it again from the ground up. Let's try this all again. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of deal. So love him or hate him. I know a lot of you guys are going to be very opinionated on J.J. McCarthy and whether or not you'll want him to be a Saint. In my personal opinion, I'm kind of in the camp of I don't know if I want him to be the Saints quarterback. Just like you guys, I have all my reservations, but there's no question about it. He has been a winner at all levels. And this isn't just whenever he was in college. This is also dating back to high school. At Nazareth Academy and at IMG, he only lost 3 total games. 4 games lost in his entire career. Isn't that absolutely crazy? He also was 1-0 in the preseason. He took down the Las Vegas Raiders in the preseason. Only played the first half of that game, or, didn't finish the game out and whatnot. So, obviously, didn't get to see a full game of J.J. McCarthy. We haven't seen him in game action against starting rosters. We haven't seen him in real National Football League games. However, there is a lot of pros and cons around this player. He's got endless amounts of potential. He has really good playmaking skills. Like I said, he's a winner at all levels, and the release he has is extremely quick. However, there's still things to work on. Like he could get better at the touch throws, meaning he could layer the football in better rather than just throwing it on a rope. He doesn't have a lot of experience. Because he's been limited in experience, that could be something that kind of hurts him in the long term. And him having this injury that he's been dealing with definitely doesn't make anything any easier. He is pretty small at 225 pounds with that slim frame. And the ball placement could be better. There's no question about it. So I'm with you in there's not a lot of great things going on. I need to see more. I need to see this. I need to see this. Like, I'm with you. I understand all of the reservations. But there is no question about it. If he's hung out in the Kevin O'Connell quarterback school, things are going to be pretty good. Sam Darnold, He went to the KOC QB school, and look at what the frick he's doing. He is number 3 in passing yards across the entire National Football League. Just over 68% completion percentage, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a QB rating through the roof, and he has protected the football well. He has been a smarter passer. The ability to throw and the technique that he's had has all gotten so much better. And so in my personal opinion, if Sam Darnold can find success in the KOC QB school, maybe J.J. McCarthy can too. And he spent some time in the quarterback school with Kevin O'Connell. And all we've seen from him so far in that Raiders matchup, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He was 11 of 17, so he did a good job in terms of efficiency. Obviously, that one interception kind of sucks, but for a rookie in the preseason, hey, I'll take this kind of production. And, there is a lot of people in the comments, I already know you haven't made it to this point yet, that are saying, I need Spencer Rattler. He's the future. What the hell are you talking about, Trace? I'm with you. I agree. I'm on the the Spencer Rattler train. I am all in on the agenda. However, there's no question about it. He needs to improve a lot. Spencer Rattler, calling a spade, is not ready to be a starting quarterback week in and week out for a national football team. That's just how it is. He needs a little bit more time to develop. He needs a little bit more time in the kitchen, and we'll see what happens afterwards because he has a lot of the skills, he has a lot of the intangibles, and he has the things that I like in a quarterback. However, we need to see him put it together. And again, the injuries and the things that he's had to battle through and deal with on the roster, things that he can't necessarily control, he's made the best of what he can in those situations. But that being said, I just haven't seen enough for me to be like, yep, that's our guy for the future, 100%, no questions asked. I'm kind of like 88%. I'm like, I think he's the guy. Starting to kind of see a little bit more. My opinion is starting to shift a little bit. So, I just want you to let me know. Would you trade for J.J. McCarthy? This would be an off-season move. Obviously, the Vikings would have to be willing to trade and move on from him. But I think that they're going to roll with Sam Darnold. He's been damn good for the Vikings. So let me know. Would you trade or would you pass on J.J. McCarthy? Me personally, I'd be willing to see what a trade would look like. I would be willing to see if it wouldn't cost a lot. However, if they're asking for a haul, I'm not interested. I'd rather just go draft my own quarterback. So it's your turn to sound off in the comment section. What do you think about the Michigan Wolverine national champion quarterback who has a phenomenal winning resume? We're also going to talk about another number 10 overall selection here in just a moment. And just to give you a little hint, it's old pals with Chris Olave. We're going to tell you all about that in a second, but I got to talk about Prize Picks, today's presenting sponsor, and it is playoff time, so it's now or never. Do not miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks. It's the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs, and you can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. If you use our code CLNS when you download the Prize Picks app, you will get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. And the picks that I'm rolling with, I got some for college football because that playoff has been a lot of fun so far. I'm a big fan of having a lot of games, and I'm also a big fan of Ashton frickin' Ginty. I think that he is definitely going to hit the more on his rushing yards. I also like Harrison Wallace, 41.5 receiving yards. So for me personally, I think that the best thing for you to do is just find your favorite college football matchup, put down some Prize Picks, and see how much you know ball, because you can turn your ball knowledge into some cold, hard cash. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS, and you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS when you download the Prize Picks app. Shout out to Prize Picks. All that information is in the comments and description of this video. Run your game. So I mentioned he might have friends with Chris Olave. Maybe he wants to trade. Let's talk about this in terms of the Saints side of things first. There's no question about it. The New Orleans Saints need better wide receivers. This wide receiver room is atrocious. And I'm not saying it's atrocious when you have these guys on the field. But when you take Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed out of the fold and Bub Means out of the fold, you're left with Cedric Wilson, Kevin Austin Jr., MVS, Mason Tipton, and Dante Pettis. I encourage any quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen to win a football game with the likes of those wide receivers. I mean, look at who is leading the New Orleans Saints in receiving yards. One of those players is a wide receiver. Two of those players are tight ends. One of those players is a freaking running back. And again, I understand this would not be the case if injuries and the injury bug didn't try to screw over and derail the Saints season. That all being said, the fact that your four leading receivers, only one of them is a wide receiver, is extremely concerning to me. So let's just, take a walk with me. Let's have a conversation. Remember when these two guys were doing crazy stuff up at Ohio State? Remember when these two guys were a dynamic duo? Let's just take a walk, because Garrett Wilson, he is believed to be frustrated by the relationship with Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. And Woody Johnson, the owner out there, he has a lot of issues to try and figure out, because if you have a wide receiver of Garrett Wilson's caliber and you have a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who, sure, at one point in time, he was really, really talented, you got to keep the younger core piece of your future happy. But if Woody Johnson wants to opt to go with Aaron Rodgers, things can get a little interesting and maybe a little dicey up in New Jersey. Ian Rapoport adding some context around this situation. There have been questions regarding whether Rodgers and Wilson can find common ground since they had a blow-up during training camp. While Wilson will not publicly say it, those who know him well believe he's been frustrated at the lack of looks from Rodgers, while wondering what else he can do to fix the relationship. Now, I do think that the Jets would be absolutely moronic to side with Aaron Rodgers here. I think that the best thing for them to do is just move on. You can't get rid of Garrett Wilson if you're the New York Jets. That being said, again, if they don't, pick up that phone, Mickey. Let's see if we can get Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave back on the same field, making plays together, doing some really, really dangerous things with the ball on the field. Like, I think that this would be a really, really good addition. Is it likely? Absolutely the frick not. There's no chance that this is a likely trade right now. But if things, like I said, can kind of progress in the right way, maybe New Orleans can make something happen. And I will say this, it's not going to be something easy to trade for Garrett Wilson. It's not going to, you're going to pay a pretty price. You're going to pay a lot of draft capital or a player or something big. You're not just going to get Garrett Wilson. This is not Madden. This is not your fantasy football league. It's going to take a haul to get a player like Garrett Wilson. But I think for a player like that, it's 100% worth it, because the Saints offense is uninspiring, it's dull, it's boring. And whoever the new OC is, whoever the new play caller is, whether it's Clint Kubiak or whether it's somebody new that's a head coach that's an offensive-minded guy, or it's somebody that a new head coach brings in, they need weapons. They need toys to play with. They need players that are going to go out there and make a difference. And they need players, quite frankly, who are going to stay on the field and be healthy. Injuries are something you can't necessarily control all the time, but I'm just going to keep it honest with you guys. The Saints have zero wide receiver depth. So if you have Garrett Wilson also in the fold, you'll always have a really talented pass catcher available and ready alongside the players you already have on your roster. Now, let me hear your thoughts. Would you like to reunite Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson? Just give me a yes or no in the comment section. I think it would be a lot of fun, but I do not think it's something very likely that'll happen. Now, friendly reminder, if you haven't already, hit that sub button if you guys want more content and want more videos. We go live multiple times a week. We're going to be giving you coverage in the regular season. We're also going to be giving you postseason coverage, believe it or not. And then on top of that, we're going to be discussing everything you need to know every step along the way of this very, very important offseason. So I hope that you guys have subscribed. If you haven't already, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.